Well, we celebrate the Feast of the Ascension today. It's the third Mass. I forgot to say that at the beginning. Well, we celebrate the Ascension. We celebrate how Jesus ascended after his resurrection into heaven. And I think about that, and I think if I was one of the disciples at that point, I would be looking at him ascending into the sky, and I'd be like, "Don't go. Take me with you." And that. And the plan is for all of us to ascend. And Jesus shows us how to ascend, and it's not the way we think it would be. Most people do not try to ascend this way, but Jesus shows us that in order to ascend, you must first descend, and descend into this life. So many of us are fighting to get away from this life, to such earthly experiences of getting down in the dirt. We don't want to dirty ourselves. But Jesus got down in the dirt, didn't he? He descended. He emptied himself into this life. He showed us that this life is not a life to deny, but to embrace. The way up is the way down. If we really must know, if we really want to ascend with Christ, this is the pattern that Jesus revealed that is counterintuitive, because everybody is trying to climb the ladder and get ahead of everybody and ascend that way, put everybody else down. How can I get higher than the other person next to me? And instead, Jesus saying, it isn't about that. It's about descending into life. Descending to some of the messier areas of life. A real messy area, a little muddy area is community. This is a big one because so many people in this day and age are fleeing more and more from community. They're believing into this private religion, their own little cubbyhole. And instead, the challenge is for us to descend. That's what Jesus did in his life. He did not run away from community. He knew it was difficult. His community was very hard. He descended into the Jewish community. His community was very different. A lot of people in disagreement. But he was not afraid to get his hands dirty. Was he not? He mixed it up with all the people, including the Pharisees, who didn't like him so much. And he was always there on the Sabbath at the synagogue, for sure. And usually he was healing people. It seemed like the only day of the week was that Jesus was healing was on the Sabbath, to especially annoy the Pharisees. Where are we at? The challenge of this culture in this day and age to be engaged in community. For us to do that. I think one way of getting our hands dirty is that we're starting a fundraising committee in our parish. That's a really messy area. Trying to bring the community together, trying to build stewardship in our parish. Getting people involved in the different events, being involved in a picnic or an auction or a golf tournament to really get our hands dirty. Or another area that is very messy are the edges. Jesus always went out to the edges. You know where the edges are? Those are those people that people despised. Jesus went out there and he was with those people, the poor, the lame, the sick, the leper. Don't hang out with those people. Especially don't hang out with the lepers, the outcasts. And that was exactly where Jesus was. Who are the people that we despise in this day and age? That we won't go to the edges in our life? Is it those of lesser socioeconomic standards? The poor? Is it a person of a different orientation? Is it people of another race? Someone of another religion? Or a refugee? I'd never go there. That's where you'd find Jesus, sitting with them. Sitting with them and sitting with the sinners, those that we despise. How we are called to the edges, to get our hands dirty, to be with them, to welcome them, to be compassionate. Treat them as a human being first, most importantly. To welcome them to our table. Another messy area in our life is our heart. That's where our desires are, and that is also where the wounds are. Jesus descended into his heart. He didn't run away. He faced his desires for one another. And he faced his wounds, his grief, his knowing full well that he was going to be crucified, that he was going to die. Notice that he didn't take that pain. He didn't live on the surface. He didn't pass that pain on to the next person. He didn't pass it on, nor did he use any one person. We are called to enter into our hearts, to have hearts of flesh instead of hearts of stone. Be willing to accept, to forgive, to surrender, to do what we can. And that is precisely how we will rise. It's counterintuitive. Jesus revealed way up is way down.